Well, if you, like me, have children and you just went to see the SpongeBob SquarePants movie, you may have been pleasantly surprised to see that there was an animated short that played before that called Chrome Alone 2 Lost in New Jersey, starring everyone's favorite anthropomorphic turtles. And here to talk with me about those turtles and about his experiences with them is the writer Andrew Joustra. How are you today, sir?
Hey, I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm doing well. I'm really excited for this chat, and I have to say thanks to Greg at IDW for putting this all together. But of course, we're not necessarily just here to talk about animation. The reason we're here is because you're about to make your comics writing debut with a property you're pretty familiar with these Ninja Turtles, starting in Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, issue number 4. And I gotta ask because I'm born in '91. And for me, like, and I've told this story, so pardon me, audience, because you know this already. But my earliest memories of fandom, there's three properties. It's Batman, it's the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and then it's the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Back when the way you displayed your fandom was like either with your underwear or your bedspread. And for me, TMNT got the undies. So, but I'm curious for you, Andrew, like what was your exposure to the turtles?
Oh man, well, I think we had very similar early childhoods because I'm 89, so same thing really. I caught the tail end of Turtle Mania, as I'm sure you did, watching
Yeah.
the reruns of the Fred Wolf cartoon and then seeing the live action movies. So I had a handful of action figures and vehicles from that show, which I loved a lot. Um, and yeah, same with Power Rangers and Batman the animated series. I was big into that too. But yeah, Turtles. I didn't no underwear, but but a lot of toys. So
Nice. Oh, you were the lucky one. Yeah. My mom's like, we're getting one thing at the store and I'm not buying four turtles. So, but yeah,
yeah.
for me, it was definitely the animated series. I had a couple of VHSs that came from like Burger King or somewhere.
Oh yeah, yep. I remember those.
And then, I missed the first two movies somehow. Like by the time I got a movie, it was TMNT 3. And they're doing like weird samurai time travel stuff. And I was just like, what is this? This is not what I signed up for. But
Yeah, it was strange, because it's not like now where you can just go stream everything. So yeah, I actually only had the VHS tape of the first movie, and um, I think I just lucked out because my parents got that for me, and but I rewatched that a million times and loved it growing up.
yeah, same. Like just rewatching is fun. And now I'm an adult with kids and I have the excuse like, all right, well, TV today is trash, so let's find something good. And as of late, my 4-year-old, I was telling Greg prior to, but we have really been enjoying Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles
Awesome.
streaming on Paramount right now. And she's just like, oh, can we watch Ninja Turtles? And I'm like, sure, we can watch the Ninja Turtles if that's what you would like. But for me, there's a couple of properties that like are like this. Like for me, my favorite character in fiction is Batman. And it feels like no matter what you do to Batman, like it still rings true. Like Batman could be super campy, like Adam West. He could be like really dark, like Frank Miller Batman, and like everything in between. But like none of it feels like, they're doing too much, or that's not really Batman.
Right.
I feel the same way about the Turtles. The Turtles have had so many iterations, but it's like they can be really dark and gritty, like the early Mirage Turtles. They can be, you know, super campy, eating pizza and stuff. But I think my favorite iteration of the Turtles has been this most recent iteration, like this new batch of Turtles from Mutant Mayhem on, like really put the teenage in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And there's just something super charming about that. I'm curious to know like what your favorite iteration of the Turtles is.
Yeah, awesome. I'm glad that you liked it. I think that, Mutant Mayhem and Tales are all made by people that grew up with the show and were fans. So I think there's a lot of love put into it, and there's a lot of that what originally made the Turtle special and their bond with each other. I think that's something that's timeless and can go through, like you were saying, just lots of different genres. Even you can have a darker version, you can have a lighter version, and as long as you have that core relationship between those four guys, um, I think it's always something that people want to come back to and spend time with. For me, I've liked a lot of them, and I've like come back to the franchise a lot over the years, just as a fan. Like as we probably middle school when the 2003 show came out, and I loved that. Was really into it at the time, and I hadn't really read the Mirage comics up to that point, but that kind of got me interested in those. So I went and started reading them, and then when IDW came out with the collections of all of them, I ended up going back and just reading the entire original run, and I think that's probably my favorite version of TMNT. I think just what Peter and Kevin came up with was just so magical and just raw of what those two guys like two dudes using their imagination um and coming up with all these crazy stories, not only just on the street level of New York City, but also the bigger sci-fi stories like with Fugitoid and the Triceratons. So I really love that, and that's why I love the 2003 show because it's the closest adaptation we've got of those comics. But I've really enjoyed everything, and kind of for the reason that you're saying, it's because you can experiment with very different tones, and
Mm.
I think most of the time it's very successful. There's ones I'm more partial to than others, but and I'm definitely biased, but I really love what this latest version has done, and what Jeff Rowe and Seth Rogen, those guys laid the groundwork for in Mutant Mayhem, and then with the Tales TV show expanding on that, and just kind of tapping into that teenage aspect of them and showing their awkwardness and their insecurities, and them trying to just figure things out and not being super competent at being ninjas yet. I think that's all really fun stuff to explore, and kind of in a way that's a little bit more modern than some of the other versions. But I also, I love going back and seeing the ones where they are really good at what they do. So, a roundabout way of saying I like all the versions a lot.
For sure. Now, you worked, on the Mutant Mayhem film, which I assume like that feels like a Herculean task, like to be, not necessarily like in charge, but like to be working on reintroducing to the turtles. Like I think the most recent thing before that was the Michael Bay movies. Um, and it's like that's so tonally different. Um, and like I'm just curious, like one, how does that even go? Like you're like, all right, I'm gonna work on the turtles. I've been a fan on this of this my whole life, and I'm gonna work on this, and it's gonna be different than everything we've done before.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely was a bit intimidating when I started on the show, which would have been in like late 2020, and my role on that was as the script coordinator. So, it's that's a production role. It's not contributing a lot creatively, but I was very fortunate in the fact that Jeff, our director, and our producers, kind of allowed me to give ideas and give creative input and stuff. And the longer I was there, the kind of more they saw value in that, and that's ultimately why I ended up getting to write the short and pitching ideas and getting to work on the comic books. But yeah, kind of going into it, I kind of was just wanting to do the best job that I could, not only in my role, but in any way that I could bring my knowledge as a fan to the show. So that was something that I very early on tried to demonstrate, was like if we were talking about introducing a new character or going over a storyline, I would try to tell them like, hey, in this version of Turtles, they explored it this way, or this character had kind of an interesting dynamic, and I think I was able to kind of add value to it that way, and also kind of be a voice for like, hey, I think if we change this, this is something that the fans wouldn't be too happy about, or this is something that they'll really be excited about. Um, and it's a difficult task because you don't want to just copy and paste versions that they've seen several times before. If you're doing a new version of something, you want to bring a fresh perspective and give people a reason to spend more time with these characters again, but also not lose what makes them special. So I, I just trying to be objective as we were making it, and as we would have storyboards and animatics coming up, I would try to look at it, as if it wasn't something that I was part of, and just be like, okay, would I, if it was just me as the Turtles fan sitting in an audience, would I like this and respond to it? And most of the time, the answer was yes, just because they really had a good grasp, not only for the source material, but for how to adapt it for a modern audience. So it was a blast, and I just felt so fortunate to get to be part of it and contribute to it. And it's one of those rare things you don't always get to work on. Like, when you're in the entertainment industry, it's lucky enough to get a job on a big movie like this, and to get one on one of your all-time favorite franchises, and then to be able to write on it. I'm still pinching myself. So
For sure. Now, I was just talking or just listening to an interview of a creator who, had a creator-owned comic. It's being adapted for television, and just talking about like the idea of going from like, hey, this idea is my baby, to now, you know, there are scripts, there's a writer's room, there's all this production involved, there's so many hands in the pot, and trying to maintain like a safe distance while still feeling like, it's my baby. I guess like sending a kid off to college or something,
sure,
right?
yeah,
And you've kind of got the reverse thing going on where you've been part of a committee, like, and obviously this thing is precious to you because you've been a fan for so long. But now with this comic, you get to like, for the most part, run a story. Like comics are still collaborative, but
yep,
you get to be like, all right, I'm not just an idea in the room. This is a thing that I get to see through,
yep.
beginning, middle, end. How does that feel for you?
It's incredible. Yeah, I still can't believe it worked out the way that it did. And Fugitoid, like for this first story arc that I got to do, which is about Fugitoid, who's my favorite Ninja Turtles character. So, as soon as they told me that it was even a possibility, we were doing a comic book. Jeff Whitman, who's from the publishing side of Paramount, talked to me and asked me if I had any stories in mind that I'd like to do, and that was the first thing I told him. It was like, I'd really love to bring Fugitoid to this iteration of the Turtles. And um, so he took that to heart, and talked about it with the folks over at Nickelodeon. So the showrunner of Tales, Chris Yost, and Alan Wan, and they approved my pitch for the concept. And yeah, I really felt like I had a lot of creative freedom and control, and obviously I had to stay within the parameters of what would work in the world of Tales of the TMNT. But beyond that, I was really able to make it my own, and it was amazing. I mean, it's the most fun I've had professionally in my life, probably creatively too, and I was so happy with how it turned out, and getting to work with our artist on it, Louie Joyce, who is kind of the perfect choice for the comics, just because he really seemed to be able to just naturally capture the energy from the art style of Mutant Mayhem and Tales, and put it into the medium of comics in a way that I think just, really, really captures the characters and the way he draws them, but also the way he does the action. And so getting to work with him was delightful, and like everything across the board, my editor Ellen, and everybody on both sides of Nickelodeon and Point Grey, were all super supportive of it. So it was kind of the best case scenario for me. It wasn't one of those situations, sometimes you hear about a creator really wanting to go one direction or do something, and it just not being in the cards, and that wasn't the case for this. So I feel very lucky, and very spoiled by everything that transpired.
Nice. Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't point out we're talking about Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. A new story arc is beginning with issue 4 that Andrew will be writing. And the final order cutoff, you got to pre order this book at your local comic shop by February 9th. to lock in and make sure you get not only the book, but like the cover you want and all of things, right? Like, so guarantee your copy, call your LCS before the 9th so that you can order this comic. Now, um, in talking about like the story, like you're introducing Fugitoid to this new iteration of the Turtles. For those at home who don't know who Fugitoid is, who is he? Why do you love him so much?
Yeah, so starting with kind of his original version, he actually predates the Turtles. Kevin and Peter introduced him in their self-published magazine Gobbledygook, which they it was a two-part story, and they ended up making a Fugitoid comic like one shot that then tied into their ongoing Mirage Ninja Turtles series. So he was introduced to those turtles in issue number 5, and kind of his history is he's this humanoid alien character that's from another world named Satan Honeycutt, who's this brilliant scientist, and he's working on a technology that his government, which is part of this galactic federation, is wanting to use in a war with the Utroms. And Zayton is a pacifist, and he doesn't want it to be used for bad, so he's trying to keep it from them. But they decide they want to come and take it by force. And before that happens, there's this tragic accident where he's working with one of his robots and using his technology, and his mind is transferred into the body of his robot called Sal. And his human body is completely destroyed. So now he's lost sort of his humanity, and he's in the side of this machine. And because of the way things work on his planet, robots don't have any rights, so the government can come and take his technology from him. So he goes on the run and becomes a fugitive android, which is why he's called the Fugitoid. Um, so that's kind of his origin story, and he has a chance encounter with the turtles, who he ends up helping out, and vice versa. And he's become one of their biggest allies, and he's appeared in several iterations of the Turtles. He went on to be in the 2003 animated show, 2012, and he was voiced by David Tennant in that, which was a really fun take because it was kind of right when he was like at the height of Doctor Who fandom, so they kind of played into that a little bit. And obviously, we've seen him in the IDW comics as well. But he's not somebody that ever showed up in the Tales TV series, or we weren't using him in the movies for Mutant Mayhem. So it was kind of the perfect opportunity to introduce him in the comics.
So we talked about like just sort of, growing up with VHSs and not streaming, right? So I think I've got 2 episodes of TMNT like burned in my head. And the greatest surprise was just how much TMNT I missed out on as a kid. And I think the biggest reminder of that is when I go to Target and NECA has those action figures, and they'll always sell them in 2 packs. And there's always some character I have never heard of, right? Like
Yeah.
there's Ground Chuck, and like if I'm lucky, there's a Bebop and
Dirtbag and
Rocksteady.
oh
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
like that, so many. And so it's funny that like a character will stand out so much, right? Like for me, I think just from like character design, I like Usagi, like
Yeah.
from those NECA packs. But it's like I don't know, I don't have a reason. It just
Yeah.
something about a rabbit tying his ears back into a samurai bun like just works for me, right? But I'm curious as to like what the staying power for you was with Fugitoid, and why like it was special for you to kind of steward his entrance into this iteration.
Yeah. And I think that's a good point, and it's a really cool thing that everybody who has history with the Turtles, there's probably a character like that most of them, either they got it as a gift or they saw the toy and they were just captivated by the design. And I think that's what's so cool about that original Playmates line from the 87 show, was that each of those figures really had sort of a story just within the way they designed it. A lot of them had kind of little jokes and things built into it. But I've still got the original Fugitoid toy, which which always just kind of like captivated my imagination. It was like, he's got all these dials and wires and stuff on him, and he doesn't look quite like, the robots that I was used to from Star Wars or, anything like that. And so, and as somebody who loves sci-fi and that genre, having a character like this in Turtles that was a good guy, because a lot of times robots show up and they're just bad guys that are kind of cannon fodder. That really interested me, and so I think that really this design is what stuck out in my head, and I think also just kind of the tragedy of his backstory. Like I felt bad for this guy who was stuck in this metal body and would be for pretty much forever, and so that was something that I think just throughout the years I was always drawn to and thought I could put a personal touch on and add to his story. So yeah, I was thrilled that I got the chance to.
Nice. And so, you're writing a three-issue story arc featuring the Fugitoid. Obviously, we don't want to spoil it for those who are about to go pre-order it, but what can you tell us about the story? What's his reason for sort of entering the Turtles' orbit this time?
Yeah, so kind of similarly to the original, there's a chance encounter that he has with the Ninja Turtles. They The setup for the story is that the E.P.F, who make an appearance in the show, but they're the government agency, the Earth Protection Force. Um, they're having a meeting with Bishop on the at the shipyard in Brooklyn, and so the Turtles are tipped off about this, and they go to investigate it one night. And while they're there, they notice someone else is also there, and that's Fugitoid. And Fugitoid is on a mission of his own to sabotage whatever it is the E.P.F is doing. And that all goes horribly wrong, and he and the Turtles run into each other, and Fugitoid appeals to them for help, and kind of without any good reason, and they're just trusting their instincts. They decide they're going to help this guy, and he tells them his story and how he became to be a robot, which is a little bit different in my version than in the original. Our Zayton Honeycutt is younger. He's a teenager. He's maybe a few years older than the Turtles, but he's a guy that, again, like the original, is a brilliant scientist who was recruited right out of high school to work for the E.P.F and do research for them. Um, so we aged him down a bit just to try to make him more relatable to this group of turtles. The original Zayton Honeycutt was an older guy, and thought that would kind of give a little fresh life to him, but also retain all the things that made that original character great. Um, and then yeah, and then they go off on an adventure to try to stop some corrupt folks working at the E.P.F. And it ends up getting pretty hairy.
Nice, nice. So, going from script supervisor to comic book writer, like you get to spend more time with these characters. I always like to ask this question, like going into this ensemble book, did you have a favorite character before? And did writing the series make you like fall in love with a different character?
Ooh, um, it's interesting. So like for this first arc, Fugitoid in a lot of ways is based on me. It's a much smarter version of me. But I was kind of tapping into my experience working on the movies just because as script coordinator, a lot of my job is handling our recording sessions, which we do ensemble style. So the four boys that voice the turtles, we get together in a room, and so I've gotten to know those guys over the years, and um, always thought it was quite like bizarre and surreal that I'd go to work one day and I'd literally be in a room hanging out with the four Ninja Turtles. Like I just, it's something that as a kid would blow my mind if I told 8-year-old version myself that. And so I tried to inject a little bit of that into Honeycutt, and he was the easiest to write because it was just me, but um, I loved writing all four of those guys. Like, Raph is so fun just because he's so impulsive and hot-headed, and
Mm.
um, as far as turtles go, he's always been my favorite. But the fun of it with this was that as I'm writing dialogue for these characters, I'm really just thinking about what those actors would say as the character in the situation. So I'm trying to think of it in their voice, like,
Mhm.
what would Shaman say as Mikey here, or and so that made it super fun. And the same with April, like, Io Edeberry brought so much to that character, and is always has these really smart lines. So I can't really latch onto one. I did really love writing Splinter just because we got a chance to have a few scenes between him and Fugitoid. That's kind of a mentor relationship that develops there, and that's something that was special for the comic just because in the Tales TV series they weren't able to get Jackie Chan to do the voice, so he doesn't actually participate very much in the storylines, that kind of thing. So that was a fun opportunity to be able to do that. And, again, just kind of tapping into how would Jackie Chan say this, and how would that be funny? Yeah, it's really hard to pick, but yeah, I liked writing Splinter a lot. I guess that that was probably my favorite.
That's definitely an underrated aspect of the Mutant Mayhem verse, if you will, right? Like, because in the comics, Splinter's been missing for a while, pretty much as long as I've been reading
Yeah,
TMNT
yeah.
comics. Um, and so like that aspect hadn't been there. And I think maybe for me it resonates more because I'm a dad and we're still in the so-called childbearing years. So I'm always thinking about like my kids as babies. And so like just what would Jackie Chan do is not a question I've asked myself. But it certainly is like, like it makes sense. Like it kind of just sticks with you. Like, okay, like what is the best version of the lesson? Like, how can I deliver this in a one liner? And so I really like the father son aspect, outside of the milking jokes, right? Like, those are fun too. But yeah. And, for recent TMNT fans, you might want to like pop back in, for reasons that I didn't spoil at all, but clearly alluded to here. But anyway, so with this, like, I think for me, my favorite character or favorite turtle had always been Raph. And when I was a kid, it was just because I like the color red. And
Sure.
so I'm gonna be the red Ninja Turtle, period. And I was always conflicted because like the Sai is not my favorite weapon. Like I would have chosen like the swords, right? So it was between Raph and Leo, but if I gotta fight somebody to be a turtle, I'm gonna be Raph. But as an adult, I have felt like so attached to Mikey. And I think there's just something about the like holding on to the fun
Hmm.
in life. And I think maybe, I'm old, I'm 35 now, and, but I'm still like talking about comics on the internet every day, right? So, like, something about the way Mikey is just fun and carefree and like just vibrant just resonates with me. Um,
Yeah. Yeah,
so,
he has this great energy and optimism to him that um yeah, in our version, Shaman Brown Jr. brings so much of that to him, and because he's funny and he always has these little quips and that kind of stuff, but he's kind of the heart of the group as well.
yeah.
Like, some of the more emotional beats that we had in the first movie with him, like looking out the sewer at New York and kind of just being wistful about wanting to be part of the human world. And then in the short, that was a chance I had to write some fun stuff for him too, just because he had made this handmade gift for Splinter that he was really excited about, and then his brothers just kind of shit on it, and um, but then at the end, and that ends up being something that they all kind of join together, and it's like, oh, this is a lot more meaningful than just, generating or buying a pre-made gift for him. So, no, Mikey's great. And I feel, a lot of times people throughout their lives, if you're a fan as a kid, you probably change what your favorite turtle is a few times just based on how your life is going and your maturity. And one of my best friend Josh Goldman and I, who have been fans together since the beginning. We're saying different points of our lives. It's like, okay, we're teenagers. We're really impulsive. We feel more like Raph, and then now as people in their late 30s. trying to get things together and be more responsible like a Leo. So um, it's nice that people can gravitate towards a different one at different moments when they need them, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. So we've alluded to this short, and I'm a little jealous of, those aforementioned parents that actually went to the SpongeBob movie because that's the only way to see this short for now. But what was the premise of this short? What was it about?
Yeah, it started off as, we pitched a few different concepts. I met with director Mutant Mayhem, Jeff Rowe, who produced the short, and we were kicking around ideas. And at one point, he was talking about just a sort of a meta idea of like, what if the turtles see toys of themselves, and like how would they react to that, and what would that even be? And I had another idea that was about them out Christmas shopping. And it was like, what if this is their first time where they're experiencing Christmas, like the holiday season above ground in New York City. They're able to walk, on the street, go down 34th Street where all the shops are, and they see in a store window blatantly knockoff versions of themselves. And that was kind of the genesis of all of that. And that was a concept that he really liked. So I went off and wrote a draft of that, which then over the course of a year just kept revising and updating and updating. But even from that very first draft, the idea was that they would find out where those toys were made and that it would be a factory in New Jersey, and that they would go there and investigate it. And that basically the toy company was kind of cheaping out using like AI technology to create these knockoff turtles, the tubular tortoise karate warriors. And so I think first draft, the toy factory just had a security robot that I thought should be Chrome Dome, just to bring that character back in and reimagine him. And as we kept working and integrating that theme a little bit more about human art versus AI generated art, we ended up deciding, okay, Chrome Dome himself should be the AI that is running this factory, and he's behind all of this stuff, and become our central villain. So that's how it all came together.
Nice. Now, what are the chances we get to see this short not in the theater with SpongeBob?
It just dropped this past weekend on Paramount Plus.
Okay.
It's a little hard to find right now, but if you go to the Mutant Mayhem page on Paramount Plus under extras, should be the first thing that comes up. So it's kind of like having a Blu-ray or DVD and going to the bonus features. So that's where it is for now. I'm not sure if it'll end up going on more platforms after it's there for a little while, but you can watch the whole thing there. Yeah.
Nice. I'll have to check that out. I think that was my mistake. I just typed Chrome Alone on
Yeah.
Paramount to see if I could find it.
They made it a little tricky to find. I blame Chrome Dome for that. But yeah, if you go to the movie, it's there. So yeah, and that was so much fun to work on as well. We got to do that simultaneously with the sequel for the movie. So we had, again, getting spoiled. We had a lot of the same storyboard artists and viz dev artists. So really amazing people that worked on it and made it special.
Nice. Now, you've been talking a lot about this sequel. And I don't even know if I'm allowed to ask you about it, but since we're here, right?
Yeah.
What can you tease about the sequel to Mutant Mayhem?
Yeah, I not a lot. I wish I could, but we've been working on it since we finished Mutant Mayhem, and it's awesome. It delivers on a lot of things that I know the fans have been waiting for, that I've been waiting for. Primarily being Shredder, which has been kind of the big question everybody's asked, is like, because we didn't see him in the show and didn't see him in the first movie, and that's really just because we've been waiting for this big showdown. And I really think it's going to be worth the wait. It's intense. There's action. There's drama. Obviously it's just as funny as the first one, but he's definitely a more severe and bigger threat than Superfly. And our turtles are not definitely not prepared when he shows up. So uh, yeah, they're in for a tough fight for sure.
Nice. And we got a long way to wait, right? Like tentatively scheduled for I think September 17th of next year.
Yeah,
Um,
that's right. Yeah, and yeah, you never know how these, the release schedule can move around and stuff, but that's the goal. And it's coming along. I mean, yeah, we're recording and there's I wish there's so many things I wish I could tell people, but I guess just got to hang in there for a little while, and hopefully these comics will hold people over until then. Just to kind of keep this version of the Turtles having new stories until they can see the movie.
I love that aspect of the Turtles. Like we've got the TV show, we've got the comics. Like there's all the turtles that you can want. Like you almost forget that you got to wait for the movies. Like I can go buy this right now. As a matter of fact, you can go buy this right now. You can go pre-order issue 4, and get the whole story arc. So just put it on your pull list. Just tell them you want to subscribe to Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and there we go. Now, with all of this, right? Like I think you unlocked a core memory. You're talking about like going to work and you're hanging out with the voices of the turtles and you're recording like an ensemble, right? Like, back in the day I used to work in like, the music industry. So we get every now and then you get to go to a studio, see an artist at work. But I still I still get jealous like when you used to see those they would do like Disney Channel commercials and like you'd see the voice actors in the studio with each other looking like they're just having like the best time in the world. Like what does that feel like to just be there while they're making this magic that we see on the screen?
It's awesome. I mean, I obviously I that's it's my job, so I'm working. So there's there's a lot of stress leading up to that. Getting four working actors together and our team together all at the same day to have a block of time is tough because a couple of them live. Shaman is in Chicago a lot of the year because he shoots the show The Shy there. Brady lives in New Jersey. He plays Raphael, and then Nick and Micah live here, and so getting all the pieces together to make that happen is a lot of moving pieces. But once we get in the room and they start going, it's kind of just all that fades away, and then you just hear them as those characters, and it's a blast. They have a great rapport with each other. They're kind of friends in real life too, so they're able to just kind of riff back and forth, and I think that's what makes this version really special is that obviously Jeff and the writers and Seth and Evan all come up with really funny concepts that they put into the dialogue, but they give them space to then riff on it and take it to a place that's more genuine to them. Then there's a lot of stuff that, in the first movie, that whole bacon, egg, and cheese bit was something that they just started doing one day, and we all just thought it was really funny, and we're like, we got to find a way to integrate this into the movie, and there's a lot of moments like that, and a lot of lines that just come out of nowhere. So it's really great for the movie and the story, but it's also just a blast being there, and they're all such pros. They're really nice guys, and um, I think they all know how special it is what they're doing, so they really give it their all. And uh, yeah, it's so cool. And we've had a few opportunities to have not only the four of them, but also have Io Edeberry there as April, so the four of them and her, and how that dynamic changes. Um, we actually had them record with Jackie Chan this year for the first time, like in person. He came to America, and so that was a blast. Yeah, so but it's really fun, and it's something that you don't get to do on every feature film because a lot of times, people are recording separately or they're in one booth by themselves, and then you'll record somebody else a different day. So we're very fortunate we get to do that.
For sure. So, first of all, thank you because I didn't want to be the fanboy to ask about the bacon, egg, and cheese moment, but You already brought it up, so I don't have to ask. That's amazing. Now you got to get your feet wet in comics with this. This is your first comic, and I would imagine that like maybe I don't know. Did you have dreams of writing a comic before this, or was it like the TMNT of it all that brought it to the table?
I definitely wanted to for a long time. When I was in college, I interned for Marvel, Marvel publishing side in New York, between my junior and senior year, and loved that. Learned a lot about how comics are made. That's when I first saw comic scripts, so I knew how to format them and learned about lettering and all the different, aspects of the pipeline. So, and that being as a fan who had read a lot of comics and that kind of stuff. So it was always something that I wanted to do. I When I graduated, I was kind of between moving to New York or LA and knew that I wanted to write, but wasn't set on one thing. Like I knew I loved animation, I loved comics, I loved movies. Really wanted to do a little bit of everything, and I ended up picking LA just because at the time it seemed like there were more opportunities out here. Um, and I ended up uh, getting very fortunate and getting to work in animation, and that was kind of how I was able to start writing. And I knew that when I was working on TMNT that there would be things that tied into it. Because even that first movie they're talking about, oh, we might do a TV show, we might do a video game, we might do comics. And so I immediately jumped on that and I was like, hey, if you do comics, please consider me. So yeah, I'm thrilled I got to do it. I'd love to keep doing it and write more, even beyond TMNT. But yeah, any time somebody asks me to do a TMNT comic, I will never say no or take that for granted for sure.
Nice. Well, listen, man, it might be the new move for you, right? Like that's been Jeremy Adams' trajectory. He was writing for, animated series and Scooby Doo and all the things, and just randomly gets a call one day like, "Hey, you interested in like pitching for this?" And now here he is, still writing. He's writing Green Lantern, he's writing Aquaman, and all this stuff in between. So, I'm really excited to get the rest of this story arc. I did get a preview of issue 4, and it's really fun. It's really fun, and
Oh,
so
thank you. Thank you.
no problem. But so I'm excited to sort of see how the story arc wraps up, and just what else is coming from you, man. So I know you're hard at work on this sequel, right? Chrome Alone 2, Lost in New Jersey, is available to stream on Paramount Plus if you go to the Mutant Mayhem page. But for those who are looking to keep up with you and all of your goings on, where can they find you?
Yeah, on socials, I'm still on Instagram and X. Instagram, I'm at Justra Graham, and then on X, I'm just a Justra. And I'm on TikTok too. But and then just andrewjustra.com, which has links to everything. So and then yeah, I hopefully get to keep writing comics for Tales. We're talking about doing more, which I hope that works out. And then after that, who knows? So yeah.
Nice. Well, I'm already subscribed, so I will have a front row seat to see what is
Thank you.
next.
I
No,
appreciate it.
no problem at all. And for those of you who have not subscribed yet, go ahead, call your local comic shop. You can go online. Are there still online read? There's a few. There's still a few where you can subscribe to single issues online. One of which being Global Comics, who does sponsor this show occasionally. So you can go and find Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Subscribe. The pre-order cutoff for issue number 4 is February 9th. I don't know why I wanted to say July. February 9th is the final order cutoff. So you definitely want to pre-order before then. And like I said, just tell your shop you want to subscribe. That way, when this goes beyond issue 6, you'll have that covered as well. And with that, Andrew, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate having you here.
Oh, thank you, man. It was great talking to you.
No
Appreciate it.
problem at all. All right. And with that, you guys stay safe, stay awesome, and read something dope today.